Yeah, Dawson's he was masturbating to Katie Couric, I believe.
Yeah, which brings up so many Oedipal questions.
That's so funny.
Oh yeah, because his mom is a reporter.
Yeah, that's right. We watched some of that. Also, Dorota, why so judgy?
Hey, Upper East Siders and all you scandal-loving listeners out there. You just tuned into the Non-Judging Breakfast Pod, where the coffee is strong, the waffles are fresh, and the gossip is hotter than ever. My name is Leif, and I'm your seasoned Gossip Girl veteran.
And I'm Steve. I'm the newbie, the greenhorn, I don't know, Leif, what's the season 2 new kid on the block in Gossip Girl terms?
I don't know, but you're going to have to take off your shirt and dance for the camera if you want to make it to the top.
Well, either that or I'm going to have to walk out on Eleanor Waldorf, so...
Sounds good.
So here's the deal, folks. Leif has been a fan of Gossip Girl since it first aired, and I'm watching for the very first time. And together we're your dynamic duo, bringing you all the drama, romance, and sometimes questionable fashion choices of this iconic 2007 series.
That's right. Each week we're going to take a deep dive into the show one episode at a time. We're going to analyze all the hidden references, parallels, and of course the couture catastrophes. And along the way, we're going to talk about some stories from fandom and some behind-the-scenes gossip.
And since we're all about inclusivity here at the Non-Judging Breakfast Pod, there's always room for you at the Non-Judging Breakfast table. So go ahead and grab your mimosa, your cup of coffee, or some of Nate and Chuck's special medicine, and let's go ahead and get started.
All right. And Steve, once again, we are not alone. We are with a guest. We are with Andy Greene. He is the host of the Naked Man podcast and formerly from Gossip Guys.
Yes, welcome, Andy.
How's it going?
Hello, thank you. I spotted. You found me. Still, it's a small island, and it's hard, but it's hard to get off of. Huh?
Yep, hard to get off the island.
Yeah, I thought I'd escaped, and you roped me back in.
So, have you watched any Gossip Girl since the podcast ended?
I have not. I don't think so. We at one point we're gonna do the new show and continue, but we really did like 150 episodes, and we were like we were losing this thing, and we wanted to keep the original alive and not go down that road, or else I'd still be there, I guess. But yeah, I think that was kind of fun to not have, give it a couple of years before watching this episode and throw myself in the middle of a season. But I know where we are. This is painfully familiar.
Now, did you have the same sort of format that we're doing, that one of you had seen it and one of you hadn't? And which were you?
Yes. Yeah. So Aaron was Leif and I was you, Steve.
Awesome.
I was the newbie going into it for the first time. And I actually was going to ask, do you know spoilers going forward?
No. The one thing that I say all the time, that by the end of season 1, I have avoided spoilers as much as I can, but there's been a couple things that have kind of just brushed past, and it's driven me only to one conclusion, and that's that they're all gonna fuck. That at some point by the end, they're all of them at one point, maybe all together. I don't know, but
I mean, that would be a good reunion episode if it hasn't happened. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, I was similar. I did about midway through, I did get the ultimate spoiler about who Gossip Girl is, and so that of course shaped the viewing. But yeah, I hope you can
don't drink in podcast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Our friend Rachel almost spoiled that for me, and I had to very forcefully say, no, I have not seen the show.
So the reason that I reached out to you was from someone on our Discord, Jessica Bees.
Yeah,
and she actually wanted to ask, are you still in touch with Aaron?
Ooh, are we ready for that gossip? I don't know if we're ready for that gossip. To be completely honest and transparent, we sort of had a falling out. We kind of had our breakup. I think Gossip Girl took a lot out of us, and we finished this project, and yeah, we just sort of have different. I mean, the whole show was us being so different from one another.
Yeah.
Like we talked about it a lot, and that was sort of us arguing and yelling at each other, and that was our relationship, which was good. Great.
It worked good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, I still wish the best for him. But yeah, we haven't. We almost went to Foreverwood. That almost was our sequel show, and then I think we both needed to spread our wings and try other things, which is sort of what Naked Man was for me. And I know Aaron's still plugging away, or as far as I know, unless you're gonna bring him out and he's like behind you, and that would be like.
No, I was actually thinking about him last week with the news of Shannon Doherty. So,
that
made me think of him.
That is he would really appreciate that thought, and I thought of him as well when I heard that, because I know, and that's super sad, as well. And then I feel like 90210 has been hit hard the last couple of years.
Yeah. When I had the realization that Luke and Brenda had both died, it was really like, wow, those two.
Yeah.
Definitely sad.
Too close to the sun,
It's just those two, right? Has there been anyone else from none of the other kids?
The older one, the parents, maybe?
I think the parents, yeah, but I'm not the one to know.
I'm not really a fan of the show. I thought the acting was not great.
I was the exact
right. Yeah.
I think the cast is the strong point in Gossip Girl. I think that's what carried his show, really.
That's definitely. I was the perfect age for 90210 when that first season came out too. So my friend and I, and we were both like in love with every woman on that cast too. So
Yes, I was a little younger. So before we start the episode, we will talk about the show that I grew up with, which is Dawson's Creek. Which I know you are a huge fan.
If sort of that should have been the podcast I did. Spoilers, but I kind of Gossip Girl I did not like by the end of it. I was just like this. Yeah, I have a lot of problems with this show, but it's also always like a hate watch, guilty pleasure kind of a thing. I understand. I get it, and Creek is my show, probably of any show, like the most influential in my life. Weirdly.
Yeah, I was a year younger than the Dawson's Creek. I was class 2002. They were 01.
So they were the upperclassmen. You were halls and they were having the drama. Yeah, I was a little bit. I was younger, and I watched it actually first through TBS. That was where I found it. But I'm I'm on like number 4 or 5 watch right now with my partner, and she has not seen it. So we're doing the non-judging Cape Side. We're in the last season and it's hard. It's great. It's really hard to get through.
I mean, so as a Dawson's fan, I actually like the 4th, 5th, and 6th seasons quite a bit, because that's kind of immaturing, those seasons.
I agree with you to a point, because I actually really like Dawson's college stuff that he's going on.
The rest with those,
Well, I think I was into maybe 4. They both start 4 and 5 both start out really well, I think. Or I'm interested in their new whereabouts, the new storylines, new people, and I think by the end of, especially 5, that one just really drags and is really tough to get.
4 of those my favorite season.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah, okay.
That really was like the redemption of Dawson.
It was, and that's is that Dawson?
After he went to the lowest low at the end of season 3,
yes,
they finally built him up and gave him some growth.
It took some tragedy, but yeah. No, I'm with you. I think I have a soft spot for those seasons, and I love Audrey until they ruin her, but they have to. She can't be too. Yeah. She can't be one of the main 4.
Yeah. Although the way they treated Jen and Jack anyway, so.
Yeah,
they gave them not very good stories.
Yeah, I feel bad about Jack's college years a lot. I have, sleepless nights thinking about that and wondering, oh man, he deserved better than that frat. God damn it.
Yeah, that was rough.
I think Agnes is Jack's frat. For
oh man.
Like, that's getting ahead of
All right. So, yes, we are getting in. We're actually here to talk about Gossip Girl today. Season 2, Episode 8.
I'm really glad because I don't know shit about Dawson's Creek. And I don't want to wait.
Pret-A-Poor-J. Original air date, October 27th, 2008. Has anyone seen the movie it's based on? Pret-A-Por-J.
Okay, so no, but Robin instantly recognized the term, which I've never heard before, and she's like, Robin, my wife Robin instantly said, "That's a fashion term. Hold on a second. Pret-A-Por-J it means
Ready to wear.
Ready to wear. Yeah, essentially off the rack, as opposed to courtier, which is custom. So, yeah, thank you very much, Robin.
And so I've not seen the movie, but it is a movie that takes place during Fashion Week, and it's a kind of a whodunit. Kim Basinger's in it.
Huh. It's got a huge cast. It has Julia Roberts in it.
Yeah.
It has Sophia Loren and
Marcello Mastroianni, who, if you watch any Italian movies from the era, you know who that is.
Yeah, he's there. Tim Robbins, Forrest Whitaker. Yeah, Robert Altman directed it. I did not see it. I was thinking about
Sophia Loren.
Yeah, but
Lauren Bacall.
The reviews are bad. Lauren Bacall's in it. Oh, great.
Tim Robbins. Yeah. So, but yeah, never seen it.
Nope.
We're not ready to watch. We're ready to wait.
The Gossip Girl wiki episode description reads, Jenny befriends a young model, Agnes, who encourages Jenny to not only explore her wild side, but also confront her boss, Eleanor Waldorf, who is attempting to borrow Jenny's designs. Serena meets an artist, Aaron Rose, and realizes they have instant chemistry. Blair attempts to seduce Chuck, but it proves tougher than she ever imagined. So pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the first season we had these. We were doing Television Without Pity recast, but they kind of stopped doing those. Unfortunately, they were much funnier.
Oh, okay, yeah. This one's very dry, but also
yeah, it's very factual. It's like, yes, that is a very good recap.
Okay, that's the show then. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, Andy, everybody.
Yes. The episode was written by Amanda Lasher. This is her first of 13 episodes, so first time we had a newbie in a little while here.
Yeah.
She looks like she kind of bounces around from writer's room to writer's room because she has like an episode or two and then like 13 episodes as producer. So she's like clearly in the writer's room.
Yeah.
And then it was directed by Vondi Curtis Hall, who I had no idea who this was, but if you bring up a picture, he's actually an actor. He's a character actor, and I'm sure you've seen him in something. The thing that I recognized most from was the Romeo and Juliet, the Laws Bourbon. He was Captain Prince.
He's a Daredevil too. He's like Ben Urich.
He's been in a million things. Yeah, and he's just directed like maybe 15, 20 episodes of TV here and there. I think the most one was Firefly. He directed the episode R. Mrs. Reynolds.
Oh, love that episode too.
Yeah, that's
Go
amazing. Feather in his hat. Good for Vondi.
Yeah. Right. So we move into Act 1. Every girl fantasizes about finding her Prince Charming, but it's that prince that refuses to come. A girl has to take matters into her own hands. The episode opens with Dorota catching Blair walking the dog in Dawson's Creek's parlance.
Yes, I caught that.
Okay, so I didn't get to the reference, but that makes sense.
Yeah,
now.
It's the pilot episode.
I read that to Robin, and she said, "I've never heard it referred to that before."
I said, that's how they got around the censors that way.
Oh, that's
the pilot
episode. Really
great.
Yeah,
Dawson's was masturbating to Katie Couric.
Yeah, which brings up so many Oedipal questions.
That's so funny.
Oh yeah, because his mom is a reporter.
Yeah, that's right. We watched some of that. Also, Dorota, why so judgy? Like,
she comes from that Eastern European Jack's catalog.
God is always watching. And how do you like?
Oh yeah,
she knows then, right? Like, Was she listening, or she just has a sixth sense?
That's what I was wondering. Like, how do you know what's going on there? And that's
maybe it's just her daily routine. And I props to Gossip Girl for just like starting us off, and there's no judgment whatsoever.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Just like girl's got to do when the prince isn't coming.
Yeah. In Brooklyn, Dan and Rufus eat waffles while Jenny appears to be more integral than ever at Waldorf Designs. She is chewing people out on the phone like a seasoned pro. We also see Jenny bump into a shirtless Nate who is still staying with the Humphreys.
I hate the hair. I hated the hair.
Jenny?
The Jenny hair. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Jenny hair's rough.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
from rumors, Taylor must have just kind of cut her hair herself one day and showed up to set that way.
It looks like a wig. At times.
Well, like she came in and like she had cut it herself, and they're like, "Oh crap, let's see what we can do with this."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like her persona herself like was really going through shit at the same time, so they just made Jenny do this. And
she never wanted to be an actress.
Yeah,
she was forced into it by her parents.
You can see this as like step one of her pretty reckless look. Like it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all in this, but like eventually does. So
she grows into it. Yeah, she really does.
Yeah, like you just need to let the hair grow a little bit, but yeah, she has the raccoon makeup comes up.
Yep.
This is the first time that comes out.
Yeah, this much, and as like it's a gradual just punkification throughout the entire episode too. That she ends with like the leather jacket with studs and shit on it. Like probably has like a butterfly knife in her pocket.
Yes,
I wish. Yeah, I wanted to. we're going to talk about outfits, but I just want to say Nate in a towel is pretty tough to beat. Just going to say.
Oh yeah.
Compared to there's a lot of terrible fashion in this episode, even though it's a fashion centric one. Like I hate Jenny's dress. I wrote that down right before we'll get to it. But anyway, the one she made. Ugh.
That's funny because I love that dress.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Chuck rolls up to Blair in his limo and continues to taunt her about saying those three little words. They keep going with their back and forth.
Yeah. She caved like that. She just, all right, I don't have to say it. Okay, I'll come on into the car. Didn't take much to get her to the door.
They both do that the whole episode, it's great.
Yeah.
Jenny appears to be bonding with a model played by Willa Holland of the OC and Arrow fame. Jenny is trying to learn from Eleanor in a buyer's meeting, but Eleanor seems to be blowing her off.
Agnes instantly seems like bad news.
Yeah. Oh, she seems fun, though.
She does seem fun.
She is, she's like the devil on the shoulder.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's good in there, too, because I like what she's saying a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I like what she's saying. I don't like what she's doing,
Yeah, especially as we go on.
Yeah. Like she's saying the great things, but she's not backing those things up in the immediately.
And is very dangerous, but are bringing dangerous elements into the play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But fuck Eleanor. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fuck Eleanor in this because I've really. Especially the Jenny Eleanor relationship, I felt was really
going well.
Good,
yeah. But I think, I mean, it's a tough position for Eleanor, though, too.
Yeah,
All the buyers want are what she has, and
I mean,
but it's still fucked up what she's doing.
Yeah,
you want the 15-year-old's work, she's in trouble, Eleanor. So
she does some hard manipulation.
Yeah.
Nate steps into the atelier just to deliver a binder Jenny left at home. After Nate leaves, Jenny's new model friend points out that Nate totally wants to do Jenny.
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, you could see it in his eyes. It's very clear.
You don't take the binder all the way to someone's work too.
Yeah.
You're into them.
Yeah.
At that age, you're into them.
I mean, it could be a great friend move, but Dan's doing the same thing. He's being a friend just so he can stay close.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
Dan and Serena meet at school and still seem to be in a good place after the conversation last week. They are interrupted by Blair, who needs help with her Chuck problem. Serena convinces Blair to let Dan help.
My note here is, oh, well, if Warren Buffett says so.
Yeah, there was so many good singers in the scene. Yeah, you have to help me destroy Chuck Bass. Just because you two are making the doomed attempt to be friends doesn't mean I have to play the enabler. And you need help with getting Chuck to sleep with you? Really?
And also just lie and say it. College guys have been doing that for years. College guys have been getting away with that for years.
You see Dan kind of disgusted saying that. He does like make a disgusted face as he's saying it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of disgust in the whole conversation,
Yeah.
but I really like Dan and Blair back and forth.
Their chemistry is always great.
Yeah, a good Dan Blair team up works for me. I do like their chemistry. I do like, and there's even a moment later in the show where you just really see some like really good like chemistry. Yeah.
Next up, we get Eleanor manipulating Jenny into offering to give Eleanor another one of Jenny's designs. Sounds like Jenny has an all-nighter ahead of her.
Yeah, fuck Eleanor with this.
This scene was really bad for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was just clearly manipulating.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, I can't help but, the power dynamic of that. And like, she's literally a 15-year-old intern. She's probably not getting paid.
No.
And by doing that, she will be able to steal her designs. Yeah. And like, just, coming out of Hollywood too, it's just like, oh God, all the alarm bells, all the different things. What are you getting out of this, Jenny? And she's also just giving these false promises. Like, the guy from Bloomingdale's, you get to be in the meeting.
Yeah.
Blair appears to take the advice to heart, and let's see if Chuck falls for the bait. I know I would. Yeah, because Blair acting like that, yeah.
Well, and what's really funny, and I actually, I'll wait because I have the note for the next scene, but because she kind of continues this going on with this.
Spotted, Upper East Side beauty laying down the gauntlet for her favorite beast, but careful, princess. It's going to take more than a little leg to get this prince to ravish you. We move into Act 2, and at the bar, Blair is flirting hard, and Chuck calls out the desperation. That's rough for Blair.
Yeah.
I like desperation as the name of a cologne.
Yeah. It smells like desperation. I
feel that way whenever if I can smell it like from far away, it's like, that's what it is. Yeah.
And Dan's advice was always be around, always be present. It wasn't throw yourself at him and like grab his crotch at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like it was like be there so you're always in his field of vision.
Yeah.
Right. It was kind of teased, but not like.
But Blair doesn't do half measures.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Dan's advice was right rather than her disappearing. No.
Yeah.
Serena shows up at the gallery looking for Dan and meets Rufus' new artist, Aaron Rose. The pair seem to be getting on quite well. So what do we think of Aaron?
I'm really glad that Serena didn't have anything to put in her mouth, because that's how she flirts. Because she flirts by trying to sexy lick martini glasses or eat strawberries in a way no one ever eats strawberries.
Yeah.
I was worried she's going to lick the wall.
That's a great note. That's really funny. Yeah, because she's very obvious. Like they're flirting and in. It's hard to be not hate Aaron Rose just for where it goes, but I like him anyway. Like he's
kind of flat. He's just kind of there. He's Dan light,
but like Serena has a type.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like,
she
Dan
really does like the boring Dans. Like,
well, the artist, but like, I'll talk about his art when we get to the gallery because I'm like, what? Okay,
yeah. And in another part of the gallery, Dan and Vanessa are chatting when Dan gets a call from Blair. Dan gives Blair some additional advice on her quest to bag a bass. And of course, Vanessa's judgy reaction to him getting the call from Blair.
Yeah.
But this is post, her getting ruined recently, right? So,
she brought that on herself. She just blackmailed her out of nowhere.
Thank you.
no one's innocent. But
yeah.
Oh yeah, the idea that he thinks she's better than with Dan, and they're all shit. That's
she just sucks at and because Dan with the whole oh, I need to take this. I felt like he was just trying to get out of the conversation with Vanessa.
We talked about this last week, but in the first season, Vanessa was kind of a good person, but she was forced into every situation, and that made the audience hate her. But starting with that last episode, we felt the writers kind of leaned into her being a villain.
Being that, yeah, I think that's true. I think that makes sense.
And that happens more and more as the show goes on, I think.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of like they just don't know what to do with her. They put her in there for honestly, diversity purposes or something, but also okay, let's add more love triangle stuff that doesn't really...
So Vanessa is a character in the books, but she goes to school with everyone else, and she's rich, but she's also an outsider. Her and Dan are kind of like the edgy poets who smoke 1 million cigarettes a day.
That sounds like what's his name too. Aaron Rose would be.
Yeah.
I was going to say a note about the phone thing, especially with. I mean, we're going to talk about. Well, I guess it's the next thing, but people are just so on their phones. It's obviously Gossip Girl, but how rude are we? We're with each other. Let's now what we're going to do. Do you really look at the phone?
I actually have a note for later on that says that people in 2008 didn't turn their ringers off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who has their ringer on that much?
It's a plot device, so they need to, right?
Right. Yeah. I also feel, though, in 2008, it was kind of a status thing. You had a cell phone.
And you had the cool ringtone.
Yeah.
And someone wanted to talk to you. And it was look.
Yeah, I'm texting now. Yeah.
That's true. That all checks.
Yeah.
I had this Zelda theme song as my ringtone. I was pretty proud of that one.
I actually programmed one. I had a phone that you could program a ringtone, and I put in one of my original songs as my own ringtone.
Ooh, cool.
That was neat.
Are you going to share that in the show notes? I want to listen to it.
It's funny. Well, because it was an old Nokia phone, so it could only do one noted But if you actually, my album on Spotify, it's actually called Crimson Poses. The whole song is on Spotify, but it was just the melody for it on a Nokia phone.
Nice. Good plug. Mine was Boom 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 by the Venga Boys.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Which is wild and inappropriate.
Dan comes to grab Serena to go out to eat and clears up with Aaron that they are not currently dating. We used to date, but we're not anymore. Totally not dating. We're just friends.
Yep.
If I'm here, I'm out of this. Fuck these people.
I didn't have a note for this scene. There are several scenes in this episode that I felt just went nowhere. I in general, I felt this episode didn't go anywhere. But we'll get to that more later. But that's one of these scenes that I just okay.
Well, I feel this is another transition episode.
Yeah.
We kind of finished up the arcs we were doing before. Now we're going into the next kind of set of arc.
I think going into it knowing it was going to be the Chuck Blair episode 8 of the season, I was expecting at least a little bit more, No,
7's the Chuck Blair episode.
Oh.
The one we just did.
Well, they had a big episode here too.
Yeah, did you guys catch on to that at all? There's episodes in each season that are kind of 7 are Chuck and Blair, 10 are Dan and Serena, and 18 are Dan and Blair.
Honestly, no. Well done. I feel like we identified the patterns, but we didn't necessarily do the numerology. But I love that. 10.
We talk about this a lot. The writers, while the writing is not good, they know a lot of things about writing.
Yeah.
And they just drop in all these little nuggets and stuff into the show.
We often say that they'd be great writing teachers. That and I'm as a former writing teacher, I'm saying that I'm not trying to knock writing teachers, but they really know a lot of the tricks to writing and know the tricks to good writing. It's the actual dialogue and pen to paper stuff that it's like that they get hung up on.
And there is a lot of leaning on the classic tropes, but I mean, that's kind of the tricks of like, oh, someone's listening in on someone, or someone just shows up, or, like the classic, ooh, someone read the text message. Like that's half the show.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah. Now, you were you a fan of the OC?
I was. Yeah.
Did you?
And I watched that, while it
did
was
you
live.
read or listen to the oral history that came out last year?
I did not. No.
Oh yeah, it was the 20th anniversary. It's worth getting the audiobook because Josh Schwartz, Stephanie Savage, Melinda Clark, Rachel Bilson all read their own parts on the audiobook. But it's kind of like the behind the scenes, and I'm really hoping we get that for Gossip Girl in a couple years for their 20th anniversary.
That
would be great. Yeah,
because I have a ton of theories of what's going on behind the scenes, and because it's well known that Josh Schwartz reads message boards, but also he basically left the show by the end of the first season.
Right. Yeah. Did he? I mean, is he on Chuck right now? Then?
Yeah, they were at the same time, and he definitely focused more on Chuck because bigger network. Plus, I think he was just kind of bored with teen dramas at that point.
Right, he'd already done the other ones. Yeah, I was a Chuck fan, so
that's good. Yeah, it was a good show, at least for a few seasons.
Yeah.
Jenny and Agnes are out grabbing an after-work drink, and Agnes, like everyone else, loves Jenny's dress. The girls trade outfits, then meet up with Agnes's friend Max. Don't like Max.
No, anyone who takes photos that much.
It's creepy.
Yeah,
and
taking pictures of the 15-year-old girl.
Yeah. Who's at a bar? The 15-year-old girl at a bar drinking. Like, and what do you like? Didn't you just say, "Oh, I'm gonna have to work on this all night," and now you're at a fucking bar? Like, what the fuck is going on in your head?
She's 15.
Yeah, but she's like
15. And
this older girls, tell her to come out and party. Yeah, I mean, come on,
this older model.
I would have said yes.
I totally would have went too.
Well, and she's the model also, and like is playing the like, ooh, I know that. I mean, she knows the industry. She has connections. That's what Max is, right?
Yeah.
And that's so gross and scary about it, because it's like, oh, Jenny, this is another way, another path, especially since Eleanor right now doesn't seem like the right fit anymore, because she's exploiting Jenny. So it's like, I feel for Jenny a lot. And I mean, obviously, Jenny doesn't act very well in the show ever, but she's a child. And the show is very predatory toward her, like throughout.
Yeah.
Jenny's my favorite character.
Nice.
Yeah. Dan and Serena are trying to have a conversation, but keep getting interrupted by Blair's status update texts.
This was another one of those, they're trying to force Dan and Serena together to this conversation, and then the cell phone going off. It didn't seem necessary. Like it just felt forced and unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it didn't really build any tension other than like, yeah, Dan's annoyed by it, or like doesn't fit in this, but he's playing the game because he wants to be with Serena. So yeah, like I think we've already hit that note several times. But yeah, I'm with you.
Chuck comes home, a crumpled paper bag of porn in hand, to find Blair relaxing in Serena's room. Blair almost gets what she wants, but Chuck discovers the text conversation with Serena and managed to once again cool his jets.
This is where I had the cell phone note, because the text messages that keep going off.
Yes,
yeah, the show is really going hard on the masturbation innuendo on this episode, though.
Yeah, they are.
The seduction like lingerie was one of my other like favorite outfits. Is that where we are? We're right there. Right?
Yeah.
Of course, Chuck's the guy who goes out and gets porn and gets it in a big paper bag that looks super shady. This is 2008. They had the internet.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, it was very weird, but it seems like something he would do. I like.
Oh yeah.
Right. The guy that really like idolizes old school, like playboys and gangsters.
Yeah.
Maybe that was like a vintage issue. Like he went shopping and like tried to really like he was.
I'd like some 8mm film.
I'd like the 1972 December shoot
Right.
No, Chuck is the type of guy who would go. He would find JFK and Marilyn Monroe's sex tape.
Yeah.
8mm film.
Oh man, yeah. That's a worthwhile search. Yeah.
We get a photo montage of Jenny with Agnes wearing Jenny's dress. Then the scene cuts to them sitting at the bar. Agnes's friend Max gets super creepy super quick, and Jenny bails from the party but forgets to get her dress before Agnes leaves.
Yeah, so fucking creepy.
Good for Jenny for getting out of that situation.
Yes.
Shame she didn't wasn't a little quicker to remember the dress.
Yeah.
Yeah. She shouldn't have swapped dresses so quickly. It's the same thing, same problem with Eleanor.
That means they got like naked in a bar bathroom.
Yeah.
That's kind of gross.
Yeah, that was not a good bathroom, I imagine.
No.
Yeah. But of course, they all fit the same. Everyone's like,
of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Although I guess they have similar builds. They're both just like tall, skinny. Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry, Jay, but in the real world, you can't take a note to the principal when the drunken model eats your homework. The next morning, Agnes delivers the dress to a frustrated Jenny. Agnes advises her not to just hand it over her work to Eleanor. Good advice, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And that line that she's like, or they're going to say that your stuff looks like Eleanor's, you know,
Yes.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like once Eleanor takes credit for that one and that's her style, you're kind of screwed. It needs to be a collab. It needs to be like, yeah, no, she is being taken advantage of. And I think there's just a way to thread the needle. Maybe that's I guess a pun intended, but I don't know. It just like, yeah, I like what Agnes is saying, but she's also just, why we trust in this lady who was such an asshole to you? She's so fake, just like everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, she's coming across as fake. And also, like, aren't you sabotaging your own career by like telling that you're modeling for the Waldorf company and now you're telling one of their like interns, no, fuck this place, you should be doing your own thing? Like, that doesn't seem like a good career move, because Eleanor is pretty picky about who she works with.
Well, she is like 17, so she's on her way out at this point. She's already reached retirement age.
Fair.
I mean, or it like shows, I mean, how it shows to Jenny is like, oh my God, this person's legit and like sees something in me. But also if we trust Agnes as like knowing anything about this world, it shows really poorly on Eleanor, right? That she actually sees Jenny as a better investment for her, you know, like that's why she's doing it, right? Like this has to help Agnes or Max, like, cause it's like some cult thing or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is wild. Like I was thinking about that too. Like what other jobs is she doing? I guess she knows all these people at Nylon or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they gave that, like a lot of the cast did interviews with that magazine, so I think they're kind of hooked in with the show.
Yeah.
Serena brings Blair to Brooklyn for more advice from Dan, but really she was just using it as an excuse to see Aaron again.
No notes.
Yeah.
Do we like? Well, I mean, I guess I was going to talk about the Blair outfit, the Joker outfit. Do we like the Joker outfit? The purple.
Yeah, I was thrown by that.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, they would have worked separately. Like they were both a good top, a good bottom, but like together, it was just like, oof.
Yeah, it was kind of jarring, and and I felt like it was trying to almost do a mix of her style and Chuck's style, because Chuck is so purple,
right,
so much of the time, and it didn't work.
Ooh, maybe that was sort of what it was. It was like this half and half, this like, and that's why it didn't work, because she's in. They're both like on opposite ends of this. There's not a blend of it, or there's each other, or they're losing themselves in this game. Yeah.
I did find that the outfit caught my eye enough to be symbolic. So, you know.
Yeah.
Aaron and Serena flirt for a bit while we see a nice conversation between Dan and Blair. We once again see Blair get vulnerable with Dan.
Yeah, I was waiting for her to pull out strawberries again and just start sexy eating.
Sweet Serena.
Yeah.
But the Blair getting vulnerable with Dan is a reference to 104 with Bad News Blair.
Yeah. I always. Yeah. Go ahead, Andy.
Oh no! I was just going to say that I just like there's something nice about that vulnerability that we don't see from Blair ever, but like she hates Dan, yet she is just sort of very like honest and real in a way that even like
I guess
Serena,
like she just doesn't care what he thinks at all at this point.
But I feel like there's this moment in the end of that conversation too where you see her look at him differently, and you can see that she's seeing him differently. And again, I mean, that's Leighton Meester just fucking crushing the acting chops every step of the way, but she just really conveyed that like switch that changed in her, the way she looked at him.
And I actually did write down this quote from Dan. You have to decide what's more important to you, keeping your pride and getting nothing, or taking a risk and maybe having everything. I thought that was a really good line.
Yeah.
I loved it. He's right. You know, it's
he
like,
should think about that sometimes.
he should follow his own advice.
Yeah.
No, I loved it. And I just think I like what you're saying about Blair having that moment of seeing Dan in a new light. I think it's almost like I can see why Serena maybe likes this guy and keeps him around, but it's also like, he might actually be useful. She sees value in him. Yes, exactly. Yes. That's how Blair is everyone. Yeah.
That was actually one of the phrasings that I used talking about it with Robin.
Yeah.
She sees value in him now.
Side note, I just find it hilarious that, so Steve is my dad's name, Robin is my sister's name, and I just was like, and then we also gossip podcast. I'm just like, what?
Plus we got Aaron and Aaron,
Yeah, Aaron and Aaron. Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, what?
We're all over the place.
A lot of magic going on.
At the atelier, Eleanor shuts Jenny down again. Jenny has had enough. Jenny takes her metaphorical ball and goes home. Grabs the dress, and even the original one from the 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, the green one, yeah.
I really liked this scene. I thought that it was, first of all, these are two, again, really powerhouse actors, two of the better actors on the show. And I really love when they have scenes together, and this is their first real a big conflict.
Yeah.
And where both of them make good points, and both of them are speaking very true things. And so it just is a very honest, real world sort of moment. It was a very gripping moment, I felt. Probably the best scene in the episode.
I was just kind of like, I agree. They both have good points, but I just like, Eleanor says it herself. Like, why is she giving all this responsibility to a child? Like,
yeah.
It's your fault, Eleanor. That's what you're the boss,
right.
And you're the fault.
Yeah, it does come down to Eleanor needed to be the grown-up all along, but she was taking advantage of this kid. And I don't know that Eleanor really fully would have put it in those words until that moment. And I think that Eleanor kind of realized what she was doing in that moment too, but wasn't going to stop doing it.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know if she's learned that lesson yet. Maybe like once she's out the door, you're like, oh, what have I done? I did go a little too far. Yeah. Once she loses the dress,
the designer that's going to keep her company afloat, like.
Exactly.
Yeah. The only one selling stuff.
Yeah.
Blair once again decides to take Dan's advice as she texts Chuck, implying she will tell him she loves him tonight. Looks like she's going to take the advice, see what happens.
Maybe. We'll see. But Chuck's purple vest and pleated pants, great outfit.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
We move into Act 3. At the gallery, Dan and Rufus are admiring a successful opening. Blair and Serena shows up, and for a second, Rufus thinks there's something going on with Dan and Blair.
He refers to her as that girl. That girl has been here twice in one day.
Of course, yeah.
That's actually
of course that means they're having sex. Way to go, Rufus.
Yep.
To be fair, I think that's a fair assumption, based on the show and these people. But also, I like it's funny that's how like Blair would talk about Rufus, like that man. Where like it's the same.
Although she'd do it, it would be more like that washed up rock star from the 90s.
Blair and Serena informed Dan that Blair is going to tell Chuck her feelings at the opening tonight. However, she is nervous and in need of a drink. Yeah, like how Dan just like, oh, I'll go get that for you.
Yeah.
She doesn't really ask, but she's like, she asks without asking.
Yeah, she tells him that, it was, I loved it.
Dan goes to fetch her drink when he bumps into Vanessa. V informs Dan about Chuck and Blair's cruel intentions scheme from last episode.
Yeah, how dare they get mad at me for blackmailing? How dare Blair get back at me for blackmailing her? Like, Vanessa, that whole thing happened because you went to Blair and blackmailed her. If you never did that, they never scheme against you.
Yeah. As Chuck likes to say about Dad, I don't think about you.
Yeah.
Aaron asks Serena out. Serena, after a glance towards Dan, tells Aaron she isn't dating right now. He gives her a mysterious riddle and walks away.
Cecil the Caterpillar.
Yeah, Cecil the Caterpillar.
What is going on here?
But this is where, when he talks about his dog Mookie, and he says, my dog Mookie, my mom or my grandma named him, she's a big Mets fan. My wife, trying to flirt with me, goes, Mookie Betts. And I'm like, no. It's like, I appreciate the attempt, but it's actually Mookie Wilson from the Mets, the Mets outfielder from throughout the 80s. And then he was a first base coach throughout like the late 90s, early 2000s. So Mookie Wilson, and it's also not Mookie Blaylock. My wife was like, there's seriously more than one person named Mookie. Like, there's at least 3 athletes named Mookie.
Yeah.
And the Pearl Jam's original name was Mookie Blaylock because they were big Mookie Blaylock fans.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
That's a fun tidbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about Aaron Rose's art here? Like,
sure.
Go for it.
This is a hit show. This is a hit gallery opening. Like Rufus says, like, oh, this makes all my other ones look like shit, basically. Like,
yeah.
It's very impressive. Like, this guy's like 20, whatever it is. But I'm looking at it and it's like, from what I could understand, it was a glowing orb in the middle that kind of went blue and red or changed colors. And then there was just a bunch of words on the wall, which they were never clear enough to read or never interesting enough to remember. But it was like a lot of text. And as far as I could tell, that was the art exhibit. Like, was there anything else? Like, what the fuck is this?
Well, it's like whenever you get a glimpse of Dan's writing.
Yeah.
So we just have to accept that it's brilliant.
And Jenny's designs.
That's true. I mean, sorry, I did not like Jenny's designs, but you're all about it. So I'm glad.
I mean, this... And not all of her designs, and we've gone back and forth on them too. Like the green dress that she takes at the end. I hate it, but I think you really liked that one, right?
It's okay. I mean, it's a couture dress, so it's like it's not something you actually wear,
which means custom.
It's not something you actually wear.
Yeah.
But I feel like those are like there is utility, there is artistry in the making of those. I don't know. There was something with the microphones at the beginning where like
because like he wants to listen to whatever everyone's saying about his art.
Which is really creepy.
Yeah.
Well, it's creepy, but it's also like potentially could be interesting if like the whole thing is just everyone judging his art. Like that's actually kind of funny and really brave. Like art really wants that, and it's just this like weird bouncing around of people talking, but it's not that at all. So I don't like that never comes back. So, but yeah, I know it's just sort of like, ooh, it's abstract and look at how cool he is.
Yeah. He's got a big ball.
Yeah. He's got
those. You mentioned him being like 20 or something, but they say that he went to Rhode Island School of Design with Max, right?
Yes.
So they both went to that school, implying that they graduated, which would imply closer to like 22, 21, 22, 23
assuming
for them.
It would be an artist thing to like, drop out and start like do his work.
I mean, it is an art school.
Well, but like maybe he's just like, oh, I'm better than Risty.
Well,
that's where Seth Cohen went.
My big point is, let's just put a pin on that for the caterpillar thing that we get to later on.
Yes, I see what you're dropping. Yes.
Yeah.
Serena gives Blair some last-minute encouragement. However, before Blair can go meet Chuck on the roof, Dan stops her to poison the water, intentionally killing Blair's confidence.
You don't want your obituary to say you died in Brooklyn.
Serena knows her so well.
Serena is, yeah. The zingers in this episode were on point.
Yeah.
I will give it that. There are a lot of great one-liners.
Jenny shows up at the gallery ready to confess to Rufus about losing her job, but Agnes is there to intercept her. Agnes paints a picture of fame and fortune, luring Jenny back towards the dark side.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably be screwed by Agnes because I'd be like, ooh, Nylon wants to run a feature? Like, okay, but like, I totally, Jenny's like, I'm 15, I don't have a job. Like, I don't have any money. But I don't know, Agnes is, she's got something, she believes me. That's where, if I'm Jenny, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to be believed in.
When I was like 20, I worked at this restaurant with a cook who was like, oh yeah, and I also he heard that I was working on like a screenplay or something for a course in college or something, and he or that I was interested in film or whatever, and he's like, oh, well, I write for this for a magazine. I write for Sight and Sound, the film magazine. I'll show you some stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. And so like he told me like, oh yeah, so we're going to go to this party, like get your stuff and do you mind driving? And I'm like, no, not at all. He takes me to this bar up in North Jersey and he introduces me to someone that he calls Will Eisner, saying that he's introducing me to Will Eisner of Disney fame. And this dude that he introduces me to is like in his like 50s, long gray like rocker hair. This dude like was by no means Will Eisner or any kind of I mean, it turns out that I was there to drive this guy so he could buy his Coke. So when I see Agnes, I just keep thinking like, where's the Coke?
It's 100% Agnes. That is like, you had an Agnes in your life. I'm sorry.
I really did.
Yeah.
Glad you're alive.
Yeah.
That's not dangerous. Yeah. That was like Max that the guy introduced you to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Unreal. Yeah, exactly.
Nate is talking to Jenny as she is getting ready to leave with Max and Agnes. Nate is rightfully concerned about a much older Max. A good guy, Nate, looking out.
Yeah. Nate is doing a lot of... Oh, go ahead, please.
No, you go for it. I interrupted. Go.
No, I was just going to say he does a lot of Big Brother stuff in this.
Yeah.
Like he's very Big Brotherly. And we know that, we know how it turns out, and we know how it started, like coming out of the bathroom and just their history together. But there is a lot of like big bro stuff, I feel. I think that the coming out of the bathroom scene is kind of supposed to imply that they've been in close quarters for like a week or so now. Yeah.
So, like things have been building up.
Yeah, I got that.
Well, but it clearly was a like, ooh, we're awkward, and there's some, I like this moment. They both had that.
We are not related, but we are in a situation where related people are normally.
Yeah.
Normally this is that's much better. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're both very beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that like, he's being very big brothery, but I also know why that comes off as annoying and why it does not work. Because he is like, and again, we also know his intentions kind of too. So like, I mean, sort of like we find.
I don't think Nate really even realizes that he has feelings yet. He has them, but I don't think he realizes it yet.
Yeah.
Until she kisses him.
That's
Nate's
fair.
Nate's just not very. He can't even pick up his own feelings, let alone other people's feelings.
Yeah, I think it's when he says to her, when she asks, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah. I think you're right. Nate can only do one thing at once, or like can carry one like idea,
one train of thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It is
he's not.
Bad. That's what's happening. Like, this is bad.
He's not that deep.
Yeah.
Nah.
No, but also, at least his phone is in the right place here.
On the roof, we find Dan clearly got into Blair's head, who is now hesitant to confess her feelings to Chuck. You can cut the tension with a knife. Still, neither Chuck nor Blair are ready to be the first one to say those 3 little words.
So frustrating.
Yeah.
Ed Westwick, keep the Batman voice, because you start your Britain starts showing through when you start losing the bat. When he starts like going into regular talking or tries to yell, he starts slipping right back into it.
Yeah.
You can start hearing those little bits. It is.
Yeah, I wish they'd stop playing games, but that's the show.
Yeah. Sorry, we've got at least 3 more seasons in this. 4 more, 4.5.
Yeah. Nate asks Aaron about Max, who basically confirms he's a scumbag. Also interesting that Aaron doesn't really consider that a big deal as long as Max isn't hurting someone he cares about. But I doubt the show has the self-awareness back in 2008.
Yes.
You could go for it.
No, I just have that. If he's not a good guy when he's dating your sister, he's not a good guy.
Yeah.
That was literally my note. You're just like, fuck you, Aaron, for whatever that is. Like, that says a lot about this guy.
Guys being guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's totally, I've been around those guys. I've been in those groups too, where it's just like, we have, like, there's this, like, tunnel vision thing.
Yeah.
And to be like, oh, he's my friend, he's my bro, like, he supports me.
Looking out for him. Yeah.
Right.
And the bro code and all that shit. And it's like, sure, he leaves a wake of women with PTSD, but like, other than that, he's a good guy.
He picked up the tag last week.
Yeah. You can drink with if you're a dude, but everyone else, like, that's it. Yeah, no, it's like, there's a lot of alarm bells in that scene, especially as we go on. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Blair tells Serena that her rendezvous with Chuck was a complete failure and leaves the party. Dan admits to Serena that he had a part in Chuck and Blair's blow-up, which infuriates Serena.
His attitude of like entitlement, of like, oh yeah, I just did this thing to teach them a lesson.
I mean, that's something they would do too, though. So I get both sides of this. Like, it's Blair. I mean, Serena like completely brushes off the fact that they screw with Vanessa.
Yeah.
Right, and she doesn't know, like, what you're saying, the backstory of that, like, or that maybe Vanessa had some part in it. But yeah, there is this sort of sense of like, we can fuck up your shit, but you can't because you're poor. You know, like that's kind of what it is. You're Dan, you don't get to do this, but I also, like, Dan, of course, has the holier than thou, like, I got to do it, but I also think Serena shouldn't be judgy because, like, why is she involving him in the first place? Like,
yeah. I think that my issue with Dan was the way he went to Serena with just like, oh yeah, I did this thing. Like, obviously that's what I was doing. And why would you say anything about it? Like just this casual, like, well, yeah, of course. That I was like,
of himself. Yeah.
A little proud of himself. Like you're bragging to the wrong person about this. Like, go tell Vanessa that you fucked them over, but don't tell Serena.
Yeah.
At Max's, the party appears to be just a trio, and in episode Needle Drop prompts Agnes to get up and start dancing.
Yeah, how soon is now?
Yeah, which of course is the Charmed theme song.
Yeah, of course this is a cover version of it.
Yeah,
and the Charmed cover is a cover too.
Yes.
It's the Love Spit Love cover.
Yeah,
I did forget who this one was. It was an acronym. I don't remember. TM.
I didn't look it up.
Yeah. I only looked it up because I recognized the song and couldn't place it over and over. I think it was used in Buffy at one point too. I feel like I remember a scene with
Warner Brothers own the rights.
Yeah, it may be. Yeah, that would make sense.
That same week they did it in every show.
Yeah.
Is there any significance to that song then for the mood of this scene? Because the mood is dire. This is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a bad girl type song. I think it's also used in the wedding singer for his girlfriend there, the one that leaves him. And yes, and like I think in what's the Craft? I think it's also in that. Maybe.
Yes, I think that's right.
It's kind of like it has throughout media. It's kind of taken on like a bad girl tone to it.
Right.
Yeah, and in this scene in particular, first of all, I hate on shows whenever they have I love this song, let's dance.
Yes.
Because I always would complain about it at the Bronze when I was watching Buffy stuff, because it's like, you don't even know this fucking song. You've never heard this song. You don't even know there's a song playing because you're on a set somewhere. But it would just really irk me. Like, you don't even know what song this is. But this song, it's like, oh, someone can actually like that one. So, like, someone might actually recognize it. So I had that same, like, oh, I hate that trope, but ooh, they might actually like it.
Dan chases down a brooding Chuck to attempt to rectify sabotaging Blair earlier. So this was on the stairs there.
Yeah, this was nice. This was nice of Dan to do.
I heard you. I chose to ignore you. Good job by Dan realizing he fucked up.
Yeah,
and gave Chuck the opportunity to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what's really funny is that, like, Chuck's role in the whole Vanessa thing too. Chuck was like brought into it, right? Like, it still wasn't right. Yeah.
Although, why does Dan have so much power over Chuck and Blair's relationship in this episode? Just realizing, like, you know, all he has, like, he says one thing, and now like Blair's hanging on every word, and then like he's also saying this thing to Chuck, which may or may not change his mind about anything. But it's just like, wow, people just believe everybody in this show, even though we learn over and over that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean.
Why? But I feel
like Dan has shown in the past the ability to kind of manipulate people pretty well.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No.
I also feel Dan is seen as the honest one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that it is the whole, like, oh no, scheming is rich people's game. Scheming is a rich person's game.
Yeah.
So you can't be scheming. You're just a poor kid who needs to tell the truth, or else you'll be poorer.
Yes.
Exactly. Or like, what can this guy do? I'm safe.
Yeah.
Back at Max's, Jenny and Agnes are dancing. Agnes uses a little peer pressure to get Jenny to start stripping her clothes. Nate shows up before things can get too out of hand.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Oh. What the fuck? And he's taking pictures. You're at least so if this guy is a graduate of RISD, then
even if he's a student, he's at least 19, 20.
Yeah,
and she is 15 or 16.
I think she says 15 earlier in the episode. So this guy is like, I'm assuming like 2022, taking pictures of a 15-year-old. Like, that's fucking disgusting. That's like,
and not good that Agnes is like pushing her into it as well.
Yeah. Come on, take off your clothes in front of this dude with me.
Yeah, there's definitely like sort of Colt Manson, like weird sort of like, I mean, because she kisses him in front of her and like is sort of like,
like kind of, she's definitely like trying to like get into some kind of threesome situation.
Yeah.
And as the woman or as the person that's supposed to be like her ally in the situation is totally,
right.
Oof. And I think we do find out in the next episode that Agnes is not much older than Jenny. She's only like 16 or 17.
I think she might even say that she's 17 in this episode too. Or like maybe that's just in my head. I remembered that. I don't know.
They have.
Yeah. But like, no, she isn't. I mean, you could look.
Yeah.
This is all bad news. Thank God for Nate's one-track mind here.
Yes. I'm a college photographer and I hang out with high school girls. Like,
that not
yeah.
And Aaron Rose.
But not Aaron Rose's little sister, because he kept her away.
Although, I mean, Agnes is that high school girl that was always dating a college guy. There were
I know
the most popular girl, like the really popular hot girl was always had a college boyfriend.
I know.
Not this show is just all those people, right? Like that's it.
Exactly.
Every girl is that.
It's the hottest 1%.
Well, yeah, it's like if they're not fucking each other, they're fucking a 30-year-old.
And most of them are 30.
Yeah.
What have we here? Jenny Humphrey caught in her knickers by Nate, her knight in shining Armani.
I love that line. That was so good.
Good line, yeah. We move into the epilogue. Good guy Nate isn't going to force Jenny to leave, but he isn't going to leave without her either. That was a very good move. He's not going to be the guy just like picks her up and like drags her out of there, because that's just not a good look either.
I'll wait.
Yep, I'll just sit down and wait.
Yep.
Yeah, that was his best tactic. Like when he was trying too hard to be like, hey, warning him, like kind of like a wet blanket that she would ignore. Because
yeah.
Classic, like, yeah, if you're the older brother and even if you're right, I can't admit that you're right. You know, like,
yeah.
So,
and this is where and this is one of those places where Nate shines, you know, where Nate is going to be the good guy and make the decision and the good decision to help the person that needs help.
Yeah.
Like, I think he really did a good job.
Dan chases down Serena to apologize for sabotaging Blair. They begin to talk about Aaron. Dan gives his blessing. Mid-conversation, Serena figures out the riddle and that she went to summer camp with Aaron in Europe. Because, of course, they went to summer camp in Switzerland.
Right. And I'm going to go back to how old is this guy and why are they in summer camp together getting married if they're 4 years apart?
That's just how they do it in Europe.
I mean, it's like making it work. But I mean, I think summer camps can have like wide ranges, but it's still weird. Where it's like he's like, I mean, I hope he wasn't like a counselor or, you know, but like it could have been.
Although knowing Serena, he probably was.
Yeah. yeah. But it might have been like a 10 and 6 or something. I don't know. Like, is she 17 here? Is that how old Serena is?
She's 17 here.
Or actually, I think she might be. She might actually be 18 because she has a early birthday.
Gotcha.
They are seniors this year.
But I mean, Serena, probably was also. I mean, she is the classic girl again that is talking to the oldest people.
Yeah.
And that's not. There's something scary about that for sure. But that's this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, fake married.
Yeah. Serena sees what I think is supposed to be Aaron riding off with another woman. I say supposed to because it was clearly a stunt actor driving off on the moped. Why did they show his face? Why did they do a back shot?
Yeah.
That was hilarious. That's whole scene because it shows who Aaron really is, I think, too. Like he's but he's just this asshole on a motorcycle with a babe. Which to suggest that people that are on motorcycles are assholes, but just like I think that's the trope, kind of. Or like there's it just he just has all these bad vibes.
Now I'm going to ask what I always ask when someone like Aaron comes in: are we seeing more of Aaron?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I figured.
Unfortunately,
that's
you're not happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like every time they bring someone in for a romantic plot line, it's just so bad.
And unfortunately, I think this is kind of Aaron's high point.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, actually, I was going to say like his stock is up. He will get there, but yeah,
he's one of my only ones actually.
Yeah. But I think Aaron, like he does. Because of him, in a weird way, something good comes to the show, I believe. That's my tease. So Aaron, there is like a nice thing about Aaron.
Okay.
But it's not Aaron.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Chuck slinks into Blair's room to explain how they can't work as a couple. They decide to wait before sharing a chaste kiss.
Yeah, the whole thing was just a tease. Like this whole back and forth for nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess I buy it, right? Like they can't say the words because if they do, he thinks it's the end, right? Like that means they become a normal couple.
Yeah.
But it's really like they're afraid of being real. They're afraid of, but like, that's the thing. Blair says it. We can do the things that we like together. That is real. So it just like this make-believe problem that they have, but I also understand because they're 17 and like fully erect and all sorts of like we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So the writers have admitted that Chuck was not initially meant to be a main character.
Right.
He was going to be just like a side antagonist, and after episode 13, he was going to just kind of fade into the background. But that was when the writer's strike hit in 2008, and Josh Schwartz was reading the message boards, and Chuck was by far the most popular character. And so they didn't really know what to do with him other than just keep bouncing him off Blair.
But like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're going to get into the fandom, but like that worked for most people.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most
so
people.
like, I it gets tiresome, but you also, it's the TV. It's when you can see that it's a TV show when it's like, well, of course they can't actually try. Because
It did work for most people, but the most people that stayed on because the audience really started dropping after season 2. Episode 3 of season 2, The Dark Knight, was the highest rated episode, and then it just steadily dropped from there.
Steve, like, I would be interested if there's ever at a point where, like, if you were watching this live or like without the podcast, if you'd ever be like, all right, I think I'm unplugging, like I would
yeah. And honestly, I may have at the end of season 1, if I didn't have the information about the writer's strike, that when they came back from the writer's strike, and then when they introduced Georgina Sparks, I thought the show tanked for the end of those last couple episodes. I hated them except for Woman on the Verge. Oh, there were moments I liked in it.
The finale was okay.
Yeah, the finale was okay. The one where Eric's outed is okay, but like none of them were like good anymore. Like those episodes didn't have that charm that I felt the first 13 episodes had.
Jenny is freaking out on Nate and then finally asks him why he cares so much. Nate can't answer, so Jenny gives him a quick kiss. Nate is dumbfounded for a moment before pulling Jenny in for the real thing.
And I think that's the moment. I think Jenny saying to him, "Why did you do this?" is the moment Nate realizes he likes her. I think it was just before the kiss that he just thought he was doing the right thing. And then when she asked why and he didn't have an answer, I think that's when he was like, oh shit, I like her. And then she kissed him. And then they full on make out.
Yeah. Right in the middle of the street as usual.
Right in the middle of the street as usual.
I feel like there was some butt grab happening.
There was some butt grab happening. She is 15 years old. Chase.
Well, I mean,
I know.
Yeah, they're both in high school. But I think you're right. I don't know if I had that reading this time or even the last time that like he wasn't aware of it until that moment. I think Nate.
I think they were there, but he just wasn't aware of it.
Yeah,
exactly. And he's also the kind of guy who's just like always so naturally charming and flirty and like always liked that. Like he doesn't, I don't think, know what he's doing. So when I'm watching him in the towel in that first scene, to me, I know he likes the attention, likes the look, and likes what is happening. But yes, but I think it's that normal thing. It's just like, ooh, this is kind of fun and giggly. Yeah. But it's and then I like that for Nate, I guess. I mean, I like it. It's so much better than the alternative of what the Dark Jenny's other options.
Yeah.
The problem with fairy tales is they set up for a disappointment. In real life, the prince goes off with the wrong princess, or the spell wears off and two lovers realize they are better off as well, whatever they are. But I'll confess, every once in a while, a girl craves her fairy tale ending. So sleep tight, kiddies. It seems like little J got her happily ever after. XOXO Gossip Girl. And that is the episode. So obviously, Andy, you know what's coming. But Steve, what are your predictions?
Well, I predict that Agnes is going to continue to be trouble for Jenny.
Okay.
I have a prediction that Dan is not going to take it too well if he finds out about Nate and Jenny. I think he might come around because he knows that Nate's a good guy, but I also know that he's very protective of his little sister. But like Dan, just keep in mind, she could do a lot worse than Nate Archibald. And this Chuck and Blair thing, I know that this is what the show is now, but like, shit or get off the pot.
So do you think, are they going to get right back into it next week, or are they going to take a break?
It might cool off a little bit, but I don't know what else they have going on at this point, like unless we're maybe like Nate and Chuck reconciliation coming up. Yeah.
This week in fandom, we jumped into the Wayback Machine to look at the Television Without Pity forums from back in 2008.
Hello there, Peabody here. And this is the Wayback Machine for traveling through time. And this is my boy, Sherman. Speak, Sherman. Hello. Good boy.
First, note that people are getting bored of Chuck and Blair not saying "I love you." It's already
it's 3 episodes of it now.
Yeah, which we've always said people watch in network TV era. One in 3 episodes.
3 episodes.
So hopefully they move on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dan should die a fiery death for messing with Cher.
Like, that's really, I find that funny because it's also like, it kind of, those two things are different, right? Like, we're tired of them going back and forth, but then we're so pissed when Dan just gets involved a little bit.
I mean, Dan stopped them from getting together. Like, they would, yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe.
I don't buy that, though. I don't buy that. Yeah, I think that's using Dan as a scapegoat, which is a fun thing to do, for sure. Dan's the greatest scapegoat. But
I think much like Dawson and Joey, the writers were showing us that Chuck and Blair don't work without actually intending to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. I also just think there's like this idea that Dan can't get involved because we're putting Cher on the pedestal. It's kind of like how the characters treat them too, but the fans themselves, Dan can't get involved in Cher, but Cher can do whatever they want to. Serena.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Serena certainly has a type, as we said. So the audience picked up on that as well. Dan and Vanessa belong together because they're both morally superior hypocrites.
Yep. Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Tracks.
And I know that like, it's funny when they first said like, oh, Dan's in the other room with Vanessa when Serena showed up in the beginning of the episode. I was like, oh, fuck, gross. Are they doing? I'm just, because that's the one I know has to happen, and I'm just so annoyed by it, and it hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah, that's also fair, I think.
So the fans felt that Nate and Jenny were a bit sudden, especially from Nate's side. But
really?
Yeah, but I think that's because I feel like most of them were girls or women speaking. And as a former 15-year-old boy, I know like if I spend more than 20 minutes with an attractive girl that is being nice to me, I'm probably gonna fall in love with her.
Yeah. Yep. Especially for me back then. Yep.
15, 16. Yeah.
There's also probably a lot of people that watched that were watching season 2 that came on late and hadn't watched season 1 to see the season 1 background for Nate and Jenny.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. I feel like that stuff was laid in there in season 1, or they have had a sort of a nice relationship, whether they hadn't defined it until this moment, but like they had done enough work where it did not feel rushed at all.
Yeah, they had maybe 2 or 3 scenes. I think 3 scenes together that really established this episode, all in season 1, though.
Positive reactions to the mixing of pairings up, whether they be friendly or antagonistic or romantic or platonic. They're kind of talking about how the OC, in season 2, to mix it up, they brought in new characters, but on Gossip Girl, they're kind of just mixing up the main characters with different pairings, which they liked.
Yeah, and I mean, Dan and Blair is like the best example, I think, in this episode. Yeah. I really liked them.
I think that's kind of a funny note, though, on an episode where they bring in 2 new characters.
Yeah, true.
3 if you count Max, but I'm hoping he's at least gone.
Positive reactions to that's what it's, and then there was a lot of excitement for Willow Holland because she was obviously Caitlin Cooper on the OC.
She's going up in the world. This is a big move for her.
So that is it for this week in fandom. Let's move into some episode grades. Steve went first last time, so it's my turn to go first. I think I liked this episode a little better than you guys. I thought the directing was good. There was good music. There's a lot of interesting shots, especially like the shot on the roof. I liked the end with Chuck and Blair, even though the outcome was kind of boring. And like, even though the scenes, nothing really happened, I think were good setups for stuff that happened later. So I'm actually going to give this episode an A-.
Woo.
How about you, Andy?
I think I'll go with a B minus. You know,
Okay.
it's still entertaining. We talked about all the quips and the zingers, and there's enough fashion to hate on or love. You know, like I think it has a lot of different things, and I do like seeing more of Jenny and more of Dan and Blair. So, but yeah, I have, you know, the same sort of notes about like, it definitely is kind of a filler transition episode. And I know when I was watching it, I did have the thought of, why did I choose this one? You know, like I did have that thought. But I think it's because Dark Jenny to me is such a fascinating part of the show, and just the lore and Taylor Momsen, all of that stuff opens up, and I think this is like where we're really going there, and it's kind of hard to watch too. It's not always
it's tough, but Jenny's character really drives the plot more than anyone else in the show, I think.
She has such a professional wrestler arc of like the good kid and then the heel turn, and like then, you know, has like a good heel run and then gets shown up and then turns around and is the good kid, and now I feel like another heel turn coming, and like, you know,
that's a really good way of putting it. I love that. And Leif, I really appreciate that you like Jenny as your favorite character, because I always got the sense that she was sort of the most like, after Vanessa, like people like to hate on Jenny, or like,
which is I've always found that weird.
I think it's unfair.
I also love Jenny. Yeah.
I think people hate her because she does act like an actual teenager.
100%. To me, she's the most accurate depiction of what, if you put a 15-year-old in this world, what would happen.
I have a 17-year-old daughter, and there are so many times on this podcast that I've said that I've seen Jenny make a look or react to a situation, and it just instantly reminded me of Emily. Like, you just the one of the ones that really stands out the most is showing up to Blair's birthday party already with like her stuffy and her blanket, and all these girls are in nightgowns and sipping martinis, and that look of I'm out of my league, like it just felt so natural. And she does that all the time in this show. Like, she just really sells the teenager.
What are you giving the grade?
My grade for this is also a B minus. I gave it the same thing, mostly because I felt like it didn't go anywhere. I did like the quips. I did like some of the dialogue. I did like a lot of the direction and acting, but I felt that the story just took me almost nowhere except for the Jenny stuff. And I don't feel like Gossip Girl does that a lot. I don't feel like, even when they have bad episodes, I feel like they move the plot forward. And I felt this one was just stuck.
Well, I think it's setting up the next big arcs, which one is Jenny. That's obviously the biggest one, and then also we get the Aaron and Serena set up.
Yeah.
So moving on to Stock Watch, I had going up Jenny because she lost her job. She's got a ton of buzz. Plus she hooked up with Nate, so good for her. I had Dan going up because he was manipulating everyone, and he was scheming with the best of them. He got exactly what he wanted in this episode, so I gave him stock up. Then also I had Serena going up because she seems to have a new relationship, even though it was a little weird at the end, but she's definitely interested in him. So, and of course Nate, because he was the king of the episode. Andy, who do you have going up?
I do have Nate going up as well, and I had Dan going up with Blair for most of it, but then I actually disagree with you. I think like he didn't actually get what he wanted, because like Serena's going off with Aaron, and I don't know, like he sort of ended in a down, but I think he maybe ends in like the exact.
That's fair.
And then for Jenny to me is a TBD. You know, I'm like, okay. I love the up, like she's in this is a very crucial position for Jenny to be in, right? Like she is like getting buzz. She's the talk of the town fashion. Like she could be the next big thing. But be careful, Jenny. Be careful. But also very nice to get a nice smooch from Nate. Like I know she's wanted that, and that's really cool for Jenny. And then I have to admit that Aaron Rose, I know he's not a main character, but he is the one who's looking up. You know, anyone who's like has the eye of Serena, who has a hit gallery opening, like I hate him, yet fuck, I guess Aaron Rose.
It doesn't have to be a main character. They just have to be at least mentioned in the episode.
Yeah. And then Serena too, because she gets a new passion.
Yeah.
Steve?
So going up, I had Nate. We all, good guy Nate. We all had Nate. Aaron also, Aaron, his stock literally goes up. Like, he's got this big buzz on his art gallery display. He's got 2 women interested in him, it seems, unless the other one's like his sister or assistant or some shit like that, which is exactly what this show would do.
Right.
And I had Rufus going up because his gallery put on a really good event, and I think that he really deserves props for that. But that is all I have going up. I had a lot of no stock on this episode.
All right, so moving on to going down, I had Chuck and Blair because they still can't pull the trigger, and Max because he's just a fucking creep.
He doesn't deserve any. Yeah, I'm not trading. I'm not publicly trading.
Not publicly trading in Max.
Well, I like to drive people down as low. I like to short stock.
Yeah. Which that's where Chuck has been from most of the run of this show.
What about you, Eddie? Who do you got going down?
I have Chuck and Blair, and then I also have Eleanor going down because I mean, she does not look good in this episode in any way, shape, or form. Like, as a mentor figure, as a boss, as a artist, as a fashion designer, like, no one is interested in her stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And just a 15-year-old who like has made 3 dresses is more exciting. So like, that to me is like a really dark place to be.
I'm actually going to add Eleanor to mine as well.
Yeah. And I think that's all I had.
Steve?
Yeah. I mentioned Dan as like kind of.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave him as neutral, I guess, unless you want him to be down.
No, we can give him neutral.
Yeah, I went neutral too, because and in fact, I went neutral for Chuck and Blair too, because they didn't go anywhere. Like, that was my whole thing with this episode, is that it didn't do anything. And I felt that way with Dan too, and I felt that way with Serena. However, going down, I did have Jenny going down because as of right now, and of course this is also like first watch with it. As of right now, she has no job, and she is taking advice from people that may not be able to back up what they are selling.
Fair.
So I feel like Jenny took a huge risk. She took a hit in her stock because of it. I also have Eleanor going down. I was right on with both of you with Eleanor going down. I had Vanessa going down because Vanessa sucks. I typically take a shot at Vanessa when I can, but also because I was really annoyed with Vanessa, because like being so offended that the people that she tried to fucked her over just really irked me with her. And finally, Max. I didn't have Max, but I want to add Max to mine because
let's drive him down into the negatives.
Yeah. He's yeah. I at one point I said that this episode needed to come with a seizure warning, with the way that the Flash would not stop in those scenes.
Okay, I think that is it for Stock Watch. In Best Outfit,
But here's the best outfits from the last episode we've seen.
for me, it was Jenny's dress. I even with like the fringe, I love the punk rock look. I think it worked.
I mean, I think it's funny that I love that we had a completely different thing. Cause I was just like, oh, no, thank you. Like, no, sorry, you can go for it. I feel like I'm sort of giving my outfits.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's your turn.
It's your turn, so go ahead.
I would say there was more bad than good in this episode. But like, I think honestly, Blair was the one who was giving the most looks that I was like, okay, yes. And it was probably, I mean, it's an easy one, but like the lingerie seduction scene, that outfit wins.
Yeah, can't go on with the La Perlas.
But my real answer is Nate bathroom towel.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Yeah.
Fair,
Hey, that is a
Can't go wrong with that either.
Yeah. I agree that this was not the best fashion episode. There were a few outfits that Blair had a lot of great outfits throughout the episode.
Mhm.
I agree with that. but I also have Jenny's dress as written down as it was when that first came on. Robin and I were both like, "Oh, that dress!" like immediately. And so, but that is also so much more of a style that I would be interested in seeing, though. Like that fringy punk kind of, like I said, that punkification of Jenny Humphrey.
What's funny because like I was like, oh, I hate this dress, and then it was like immediately after I was like, oh yeah, I forgot what the plot of this episode. I was like, oh shit. But then like my partner Lily, like she came in and I was like, come on, you have to see this, and she was on my side too. So it's like, oh, and we like punk too, so we're like, yeah. It's just funny that that's fashion though. It's subjective.
Right? Yeah, it really is.
So that is it for segments. All we have left are some plugs. But first, I want to thank you, Andy, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much. Do you have anything you'd like to plug on the show? Anything you'd like to share with anyone watching?
Well, thank you for having me. This was fun. And yeah, I feel like apparently I still have stuff to say. It's like I need to shut up more.
You're free to come back next season.
Oh, I'll pick another doozy.
Yeah, please do.
Maybe a movie that I've seen the title based on.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, in terms of plugs, like right now I'm on hiatus on it, but the Naked Man Pod was sort of the solo podcast I did after Gossip Guys, and it's to me probably the best like work I've ever done in terms of, podcasting, but also just work in general. Like it's a mental health show. Like it's called Naked Man because it's about being naked emotionally and being vulnerable and having difficult conversations and like going into, it's an interview show, but I also do monologues, and I didn't necessarily know it was going to be a mental health show or be about my own mental health. And it sort of started during COVID too. So like was a lot of, and the world has just continued to get scary. So I think it has a lot of that in there, and just me growing and learning about myself and being more open about what it even means to be a man. So in a way, that is sort of a through line from Gossip Guys to this, because we were playing with the idea of like, oh, men liking, and so are you, men liking dramas, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And that there's nothing wrong with that, or there shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's what that show is. And then, hopefully, depending on when you listen to this, maybe my first film will be out and ready to be seen. It's a short film called Contraction. It's a psychological horror film that I shot with some, and that was like, my directorial debut. I'm submitting it to festivals now, but maybe depending on when you listen to it, might have a Vimeo link or on YouTube or something.
Oh yeah, definitely share it with us, and we'll put it in the show notes. So
we'll blast it as much as we can too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to
For
see it.
me, not much this week. I did watch the new season of Cobra Kai, or like the first half, I guess, because the second half doesn't come out for a few more months.
Is it any good?
It's got some funny parts, but yeah, the show's definitely gone on a little too long.
Yeah, the first season was so fun, and then I just felt like they couldn't really keep going with the Daniel and Johnny as the main plot. They had to shift to the teenagers. Yeah, it was. I felt like once they broke that kid's neck, the levity just
it went over the top with that the big fight in the school. Are you you watch the show at all?
I have not. Yeah, it's been on the list, but no, and no worries about spoilers or anything like that. I've wanted to watch it, but now I probably won't, to be honest. I watch more movies than TV, weirdly. I'm like, I'm zigging while other people are zagging. I don't know.
Right.
So you can follow me on Instagram at Hot Capicola, and you can follow the podcast at Non-Judging Breakfast Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And then on Twitter, which we're not really that active anymore, it's at NJP Pod. And then you can also find us on Facebook by searching for Non-Judging Breakfast Pod. And then you can find links to our Discord server on our website, nonjudgingbreakfastpod.com.
Yeah, and if you'd like to get in touch with us and send us an email or tell us what you think of the show, please reach out to nonjudgingbreakfastpod@gmail.com. Give us your thoughts. We'd love to read what you have to say here on the podcast. And while you're at it, also, if you don't mind giving us a like, a follow, a subscription, a comment, and also we'd really appreciate you telling a friend. Let them know what you're listening to and watch the show. I also want to take this opportunity to say that Gossip Girl is now free to watch on Tubi.
Yes.
And
Big
so
news.
you no longer need a subscription to Max to watch Gossip Girl. You can now download the Tubi app. This is not a paid Tubi sponsorship. I am just.
Although if you guys wanted to sponsor us, we're here.
Tubi, by all means, we will take money to tell people, because I actually love Tubi. My daughter. Yeah. My daughter and I watch a lot of horror movies, and we love that we can find so many classics or just like out of nowhere horror films on Tubi. I absolutely love it. And so, yeah, Tubi, please give us money. But also, more to the point, if you want to watch Gossip Girl and and listen to our podcast, it's now available to do all of that for free. So check out Gossip Girl on Tubi, listen to an episode, and keep following along.
Yes, we will be back next week for season 2, episode 9. There Might Be Blood. The Max episode description reads, Aaron has been keeping a secret from Serena.
Already?
What?
They haven't even started dating yet.
Not a good foundation of a relationship. Everyone out there.
No. But until next time, you know you love us.
XOXO.
Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Oh, it seems I'm walking right to your door. My heart's still resting, looking for something more. Are you ever gonna see everything you mean to me? I'm trying really hard to believe. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Never feels right when I'm out here on my own. I left last night and it feels like way too long. Are you ever gonna see everything you mean to me? I'm trying really hard to believe. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Come back to me. Smile and you'll make my life complete. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there.
Hey there, scandal-loving listeners. Did you ever wonder if there was a way you could support your favorite Gossip Girl podcast? Well, now there is. Just visit patreon.com/nonjudgingbreakfastpod. There are 4 tiers to choose from. Come claim your spot at the non-judging breakfast table by visiting patreon.com/nonjudgingbreakfastpod.